Have you ever noticed how your cat sometimes stands still, staring intently at a specific spot in the house, or how it seems to react to something your eyes can't see? If you have a cat at home, you need to know about an extraordinary revelation Padre Pio shared about these special animals that choose to live with us. My dear brothers and sisters, today I will share something that will completely change the way you see your feline companion. Padre Pio, known for his profound wisdom and spiritual connection, revealed surprising information about the true role of cats in our lives. If you have a cat at home or you're thinking about adopting one, pay close attention to what I'm about to share. Before we continue, I want you to write in the comments your cat's name and color, followed by the phrase, "My cat protects me." That's right, write this sentence, because after hearing this revelation, you'll understand the true meaning of those words. Do you know that feeling of peace that washes over you when your cat lies on your lap and starts purring? Or how your home feels lighter and more harmonious since your feline arrived? It's no coincidence. Padre Pio revealed that cats are much more than mere pets. They are true guardians, chosen to protect not only our homes, but also our energy and well-being. You've probably heard people say that cats bring bad luck or are associated with negative things. Today, I'm going to reveal why those beliefs are not only wrong, but actually conceal a much deeper and more significant truth. What Padre Pio discovered about cats will completely transform your understanding of these extraordinary animals. And I'm not just talking about theories or assumptions. Throughout this video, I will share specific knowledge that Padre Pio conveyed about the special role of cats in our lives. I'll explain why some people are chosen to have cats in their homes and what it means for their destiny and protection. Many of you watching this right now may be going through difficult times, feeling overwhelmed or in need of guidance. If you have a cat, you need to understand that it's no accident that it came into your life. There is a greater purpose, a special reason why this feline companion chose to be part of your journey. In just a few minutes, I will reveal information that will make you see your cat in a completely new light. I will explain why Padre Pio considered cats extraordinary creatures and how they can transform the energy of your home and your life. Keep watching, because what I'm about to share may be exactly what you needed to hear today. To truly understand Padre Pio's revelation about cats, we must first go back in time and explore the ancient wisdom surrounding these fascinating animals. Throughout history, different cultures and traditions have recognized cats as special beings, endowed with unique abilities far beyond our common understanding. Padre Pio, in his profound comprehension of the invisible forces that surround us, paid particular attention to cats. During his moments of prayer and contemplation at the convent of San Giovanni Rotondo, he carefully observed the behavior of these animals. What he noticed and later shared with his closest followers reveals a surprising truth about the presence of cats in our lives. According to Padre Pio's teachings, cats possess an extraordinary sensitivity that allows them to perceive dimensions and energies beyond the reach of our limited senses. It is no coincidence that these animals choose specific people and homes to inhabit. There is a greater purpose behind this choice, a specific mission that each cat carries when it enters our lives. You may have noticed how your cat seems to know exactly when you are sad or in need of comfort, how it silently approaches in moments when your heart feels heavy, offering its comforting presence. This is no coincidence. Padre Pio explained that cats have a natural ability to detect emotional and energetic imbalances, acting as true instruments of healing and protection. In his writings and conversations, Padre Pio often mentioned how cats seem to react to the presence of invisible forces, positioning themselves strategically in specific areas of the house or near individuals who needed special protection. He observed that these behaviors were not random, but rather manifestations of an ancient and profound wisdom these animals carry. The presence of a cat in your home, according to Padre Pio, is a sign of protection and blessing. These animals are drawn to people who possess a special light, people with an important mission to fulfill, or who are going through significant moments of transformation in their lives. If you have a cat, know that it did not come to you by chance. There is a reason why some people feel naturally drawn to cats, while others keep their distance. Padre Pio explained that this is connected to our own energetic and spiritual nature. Cats, in their natural wisdom, recognize those who need their protective presence and seek to establish that special connection. But what makes cats so special in Padre Pio's eyes? Why did he dedicate time to observing and understanding these animals? The answer lies in the unique ability cats have to act as true spiritual guardians. Not only do they perceive invisible energies, but they also have the power to transform and neutralize them, creating a more harmonious and protected environment for their caretakers. In his moments of contemplation, Padre Pio observed that cats seem to form a kind of protective shield around people and environments. He noticed how these animals would position themselves strategically in specific areas of the house, especially at night or during moments of heightened energetic vulnerability. This observation led him to understand the fundamental role that cats play in the spiritual protection of their homes. Now that we begin to grasp the depth of Padre Pio's wisdom regarding cats, let us delve more deeply into the special gifts these animals possess and how they work to protect us in our daily lives. What you are about to discover will completely transform your understanding of your feline companion and the true purpose of their presence in your life. When we observe a cat in its daily life, we can notice behaviors that go far beyond the ordinary. Their sharp senses, including the ability to see in the dark and hear frequencies imperceptible to human ears, are merely the surface of their true abilities. Padre Pio revealed that these extraordinary physical characteristics are, in fact, manifestations of much deeper gifts. Cats possess a unique sensitivity that allows them to perceive subtle variations of energy in environments and people. This is why you often find your cat in specific areas of the house, seemingly for no reason. In reality, they are silently performing the work of energetic cleansing and protection. When your cat chooses to sleep on your bed or stays close to you during difficult times, they are actively working to harmonize your energies. One of the most surprising revelations from Padre Pio about cats is their ability to identify and neutralize heavy energies. Notice how your cat sometimes becomes alert, staring intently at a specific spot, or how they may behave differently when certain people enter your home. This happens because they are detecting energetic imbalances that need attention. For example, a cat's purring is not just a sign of contentment. According to Padre Pio's observations, this specific vibration that cats produce has therapeutic properties. The frequency of a cat's purring operates at a vibration that can help harmonize environments and heal energetic imbalances. When your cat purrs near you, they are actively working to restore your energetic balance. Cats also have an extraordinary ability to absorb and transform negative energies. This is why, after a stressful day, the mere presence of your cat can bring an immediate sense of relief and tranquility. They act as true energetic filters, protecting their caretakers from harmful influences and maintaining a lighter, more harmonious domestic environment. Another special gift of cats is their ability to create fields of protection. When a cat chooses a specific place to rest in your home, they are not just seeking physical comfort. In fact, they are strategically positioned to create a protective barrier. It is common to find cats sleeping near entrances, windows, or central points of the house, locations that Padre Pio identified as key points for the energetic protection of the home. The presence of a cat also strengthens the intuition of its caretakers. You may have noticed how, at times, your cat seems to try to warn you about something. Whether through changes in their behavior or subtle signals, cats have the ability to help us develop our own sensitivity and perception. Padre Pio emphasized that this is one of the reasons why certain people are chosen to have cats in their lives. Cats also have the special gift of identifying people who need healing or protection. If you have observed how your cat seems to give special attention to someone who is ill or emotionally distressed, know that this is not a coincidence. They are naturally drawn to those who need energetic support, offering their healing and protective presence. During moments of prayer or meditation, you might notice that your cat tends to approach or stay nearby. This happens because they are especially sensitive to elevated states of consciousness and can help amplify these experiences. Padre Pio noted how cats seemed more active and present during moments of spiritual practice, acting as facilitators of these deeper connections. The ability of cats to perceive and interact with different dimensions of reality makes them natural guardians of our homes and personal energy. They work tirelessly, even while sleeping, to maintain the balance and protection of the environments and people under their care. This is one of the reasons Padre Pio regarded the presence of a cat in a home as a special blessing. During his years of ministry and contemplative life, Padre Pio developed a unique understanding of the connection between animals and humans. His special sensitivity allowed him to observe aspects of cats that go unnoticed by most people. Through his experiences at the convent, he began to notice significant patterns in the behavior of these animals. During his long hours of prayer, Padre Pio observed how cats seemed to perfectly understand moments of heightened spiritual need. He noticed that these animals naturally approached people going through difficulties, offering their comforting presence precisely when it was most needed. One of Padre Pio's most important observations about cats was related to their ability to perceive invisible presences. He explained that cats possess a vision that goes beyond the material world, allowing them to identify and respond to different types of energy. This special ability makes them natural guardians, protecting their caretakers from negative influences. In his conversations with people who sought him for advice, Padre Pio often mentioned how the presence of a cat in a home could be a sign of special protection. He explained that these animals are drawn to people who have an important mission to fulfill or who require additional protection in their life journeys. According to Padre Pio's teachings, cats possess an ancient wisdom that enables them to recognize those who need their protective presence. He observed how these animals seem to consciously choose the people and homes where their presence would be most needed and beneficial. It is no coincidence that some people feel naturally drawn to cats, while others do not. One of Padre Pio's most profound revelations about cats was related to their ability to harmonize environments. He noticed how the presence of these animals could completely transform the energy of a space, bringing peace and balance to places that once felt heavy or discordant. This observation led him to deeply value the presence of cats in the environments where they live. During his moments of contemplation, Padre Pio also noticed how cats seemed to have a deep understanding of time and natural cycles. He observed that these animals could predict changes and events, adjusting their behavior to better protect and assist their caretakers during periods of transition or difficulty. Padre Pio's wisdom about cats also included observations about the power of their purring. He recognized how this specific sound had therapeutic properties, capable of calming anxious individuals and providing comfort to those who were suffering. This understanding led him to appreciate even more the moments when cats approach people in need. In his guidance, Padre Pio emphasized the importance of treating cats with respect and gratitude, acknowledging the special work they perform in our lives. He explained that these animals are much more than simple pets. They are spiritual companions who have chosen to be by our side to protect and assist us on our journey. Through his observations and teachings, Padre Pio left us a precious legacy of understanding about the special role of cats in our lives. His revelations help us to better understand these extraordinary animals and to further appreciate their presence in our homes. This knowledge remains alive and relevant, helping people worldwide to better understand their feline companions. When a cat chooses to live in your home, a series of positive transformations begins to take place. The first and most noticeable change occurs in the very energy of the environment. People often report that their homes become more welcoming and peaceful after the arrival of a cat. This happens because these animals are constantly working to harmonize the spaces where they live. The protection of the home is one of the most significant benefits of having a cat. They create a kind of protective field that helps keep heavy energies away from the house. Notice how your cat often patrols the home, especially at night. This behavior isn't just curiosity. They are actively monitoring and protecting your space. Cats also have a positive impact on family relationships. Their presence helps to reduce tensions and conflicts, as they naturally work to balance the energies between people sharing the same space. You may have noticed how arguments and disagreements tend to diminish when a cat is around. The physical and emotional health of household members also benefits from a feline presence. For instance, a cat's purring has frequencies that can help reduce stress and anxiety. Additionally, the simple act of petting a cat can lower blood pressure and promote an overall sense of well-being. A particularly important benefit is protection during sleep. Cats are especially active at night, a time when we are more energetically vulnerable. When your cat chooses to sleep in your room or near your bed, they are actively working to protect your sleep and dreams from negative influences. The presence of a cat can also bring prosperity to the home. It is no coincidence that in many cultures, cats are considered symbols of abundance and good luck. They have the ability to attract and maintain positive energies that favor growth and development in all areas of life. Cats also assist in developing their caretaker's intuition. Over time, you may begin to notice that your sensitivity increases and your ability to perceive situations and people becomes sharper. This happens because cats help us awaken and develop our own gifts of perception. For those who work from home, having a cat can be especially beneficial. They help to keep the work environment balanced and protected, facilitating concentration and creativity. Notice how your cat often positions itself near you during moments of work or study. They are actively contributing to your focus and productivity. Children also benefit greatly from having a cat at home. These animals help in the emotional development of little ones, teaching responsibility, empathy, and respect. Moreover, cats offer special protection for children who are naturally more sensitive to energetic influences. A feline presence also contributes to the energetic cleansing of the home. Cats have a natural ability to identify and neutralize stagnant or negative energies. When you notice your cat rubbing against furniture or objects, understand that they are performing an energetic purification of these items. For people who live alone, having a cat at home is particularly important. Cats not only provide companionship, but also create a protective barrier that helps maintain a safe and balanced environment. Their presence can make all the difference for someone living alone, bringing a sense of security and comfort. Cats also play a vital role during moments of change and transformation in our lives. They help us navigate periods of transition with greater balance and serenity, offering energetic and emotional support when we need it most. If you're going through significant changes in your life, the presence of a cat can be especially comforting. Finally, cats teach us valuable lessons about unconditional love and acceptance. They show us how to live in the present moment and remind us of the importance of self-care and rest. The natural wisdom of these animals can guide us toward a more balanced and harmonious life, as long as we remain open to learning from their presence. Now that you understand the true gifts of cats and why Padre Pio paid so much attention to these extraordinary animals, it's important to remember that having a cat at home is a special blessing. If you have been chosen to be a cat's caretaker, know that it didn't happen by chance. There is a greater purpose behind this connection. Think about how your life has changed since your cat arrived. You've likely noticed positive transformations, even if subtle, in your daily life. The peace we feel in a cat's presence, the sense of protection and comfort they bring to our homes, are clear signs of their silent and constant work in our lives. If you're going through a difficult time, observe how your cat behaves. You'll notice they are always nearby, offering their support and protection in ways that may seem simple but are deeply meaningful. The warmth of their body when they lie beside you, their comforting purr, their attentive gaze, all these are ways they show their care and dedication. It's also important to recognize that each cat has its own personality and unique way of expressing its gifts. Some are more affectionate and close, while others are more independent and reserved. Regardless of their temperament, all cats work tirelessly to protect and harmonize the environment they live in and the people they have chosen to protect. Always remember to reciprocate their love and dedication with respect and gratitude. Provide your cat not only with physical care, but also with attention and affection. Create a safe and welcoming environment where they can fully exercise their natural gifts. The way we treat our feline companions directly reflects the quality of the protection and benefits we receive from them. If you don't yet have a cat, but feel a special connection with these animals, it might be that you are being called to receive this blessing in your life. Pay attention to the signs and opportunities. When the time is right, the right cat will come into your life. The connection between humans and cats is sacred and happens naturally at the perfect time. For those who already share their lives with a cat, cherish every moment of this special partnership. Look at your feline companion with new eyes, recognizing not just a pet, but a true guardian. Appreciate their presence and be grateful for being chosen to receive their protection and companionship. If you know someone who has cats, share these revelations. Help others better understand these extraordinary animals and the special work they do in our lives. The more people understand and value cats, the more harmony and protection we can bring to our world. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to receive more important revelations and teachings like this one. Also, share your experiences with your feline companion in the comments. How did your cat come into your life? What transformations have you noticed since then? And remember, your cat is so much more than just a pet. They are a special gift, a dedicated guardian who chose to be by your side to protect, heal, and illuminate your life. Treasure this unique connection and allow feline wisdom to transform your life in profound and meaningful ways. Picture this: your life is falling apart, and you can't figure out why. Your home feels heavy. Arguments come out of nowhere. Sleep, forget about it. Dark thoughts creep in like uninvited guests. Sound familiar? Here's what nobody tells you. It might not be stress. It might not be circumstances. It could be something you stopped doing without even realizing it. Maria knew this feeling all too well. For 8 years, she held those worn beads every single evening, the familiar rhythm of Hail Marys, the peace that settled over her heart, her sacred time with the Mother of God. Then life got crazy. "They're just tonight," she whispered one Tuesday, too exhausted to even think straight. "I'll pray tomorrow instead." Tomorrow became next week. Next week became never. And then everything changed. Her house felt different, cold, like someone had sucked the oxygen out of every room. Her kids started acting up. Her husband became distant. Nightmares haunted her sleep. Maria had no idea she'd opened a door that should have stayed locked. Have you felt it too? That invisible weight pressing down when you've neglected your rosary. Maybe you've wondered if there's really a connection between your prayer life and the chaos swirling around you. Here's the truth. St. Padre Pio didn't just preach about the rosary's power. He saw it. In mystical visions that would make your hair stand on end, he witnessed the invisible war raging around every one of us. Angels and demons, light and darkness, fighting for your soul, your home, every choice you make. The rosary is the weapon for these times. He meant every word. But what happens when you lay down that weapon? What occurs in the spiritual realm when you abandon those beads? Today, I'm revealing 5 unmistakable signs that appear when you fail in your rosary commitment. These aren't coincidences. They're not in your head. They're spiritual realities Padre Pio witnessed over and over again. Stay until the end, Because the fifth sign, it might explain everything you've been experiencing. If you believe in the power of the rosary, write in the comments, "Rosary, my protection." Your witness could save someone who desperately needs to hear this today. Let's dive in. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine an invisible fortress surrounding your soul, walls of pure light, towers of divine protection, guards that never sleep. That's what happens every time you pick up your rosary. Most people think it's just a prayer, beautiful words passed down through generations. But Padre Pio knew something most of us have forgotten. The rosary isn't just prayer, it's warfare. Every Hail Mary, a sword of light cutting through darkness. Each mystery you contemplate, a window opening to heaven itself. Those worn beads in your hands, weapons that make demons tremble. Padre Pio put it this way: the rosary is like a thorn hedge around the soul. The devil cannot penetrate it without wounding himself. Think about that image. Your daily rosary creates a barrier so real, so powerful, that evil itself recoils, like touching a live wire. But here's the part that breaks my heart. This protection isn't automatic. It requires showing up day after day, no excuses. The moment you start skipping days, those thorns begin to wither. Small gaps appear, and through those gaps, darkness seeps in. It never happens overnight. Oh no, the enemy is far too clever for that. It starts innocent enough. One busy Monday, "I'll pray double tomorrow," you tell yourself. One stressful week, "But God understands my circumstances." Before you know it, weeks pass. That sacred routine that once anchored your entire day, gone, vanished like morning mist. Padre Pio warned about this gradual abandonment. His words still echo. The soul that stops praying becomes like a house with no locks on the doors. Anyone can enter, and who wants to enter? The very forces your rosary was designed to repel. The confusion your daily prayer used to clear away. The anxiety Mary's peace once soothed. Temptations that felt manageable suddenly become overwhelming tsunamis. Listen, if these spiritual truths are resonating with you, I want to share something that could transform your prayer life forever. We've created a powerful ebook called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will teach you how to pray the rosary with deeper devotion and understanding. You'll discover the miracles and testimonies of those who've experienced its power firsthand. You'll learn Padre Pio's most impactful teachings and phrases about prayer. Plus, you'll receive a complete 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, along with special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has helped thousands of people worldwide. To download it, simply click the link pinned in the comments below. Now let me show you the specific signs that appear when someone abandons their rosary commitment. The first one, it's subtle but deadly. It starts in your mind. When you pray the rosary regularly, something miraculous happens up there in that space between your ears. The gentle rhythm of Hail Marys creates an atmosphere where toxic thoughts simply can't survive, like filling a room with light. Darkness has nowhere to hide, but stop praying. That light gradually dims. The mental clarity you once enjoyed becomes foggy. Thoughts that used to bounce off your consciousness like stones off armor now find cracks to wedge into and grow. Padre Pio called them the whispers of the enemy. They start small, a cynical thought about your neighbor's kindness, lingering resentment about that old hurt, prideful judgments about others, spiritual lives. These thoughts feel like your own, so you don't question them, but they're not yours. Sarah discovered this the hard way. For 15 years, this Ohio mom prayed her rosary every morning before her kids woke up, her spiritual coffee, her daily dose of peace. Then baby number 3 arrived. Exhaustion took over. The rosary became hit or miss, then non-existent. Within a month, Sarah noticed something terrifying. Thoughts of inadequacy bombarded her mind like machine gun fire, comparing herself to other moms, resenting her husband's freedom, even feeling bitter toward the children she'd prayed so hard to conceive. "I felt like my mind had been hijacked," she confessed. "That's exactly what happened." Padre Pio explained it clearly. When we stop inviting Mary into our thoughts through the rosary, we leave the door open for other visitors. And not all visitors come with good intentions. Here's the tragedy. Most people blame stress, hormones, circumstances. They seek therapy for what's fundamentally a spiritual problem. The mind that once found clarity in daily meditation with Mary now drowns in fog, confusion, negativity. This invasion isn't dramatic. Its poison dripped slowly into your thought life. So gradually you mistake it for normal mental struggles. But Padre Pio recognized the enemy's fingerprints on these attacks, and he knew the antidote. This one breaks hearts. When you faithfully pray the rosary, Mary's presence becomes as real as breathing. You sense her guidance in tough decisions. Feel her peace during storms. Experience her protection like an invisible shield around your heart. But abandon the rosary. Something devastating happens. It's not that Mary abandons you. Never. A mother doesn't stop loving her child because the child stops calling. But those lines of communication the rosary provided, they fade like a radio signal growing weaker and weaker. Where you once felt her presence clearly, now there's only silence. Where her peace filled your heart during trials, now there's an aching emptiness. The spiritual sensitivity that let you recognize her gentle nudges becomes dull, unresponsive. Padre Pio wept when he witnessed this withdrawal. If they only knew what they were losing, he'd say, they would rather lose their sight than lose the sight of their mother. Mary's presence isn't imagination. It's not psychological comfort we create in our heads. It's spiritual reality as concrete as the ground beneath your feet. Through the rosary, we tune our hearts to her frequency, learning to recognize her voice, her guidance, her protection. Without that daily tuning, we gradually lose the ability to perceive what was always there. Some describe it as feeling spiritually orphaned, like children lost in a crowd who can no longer hear their mother calling their name. Others experience profound loneliness that no human relationship can fill. Still others notice that coincidences that seemed like heavenly interventions just stop happening. The cruel irony. Mary is still there, still protecting, still interceding, but our capacity to perceive her has withered like an unused muscle. We become spiritually deaf to the very voice that could comfort us, blind to the very light that could guide us. Padre Pio knew this tragedy intimately. Seeing others lose this connection caused him genuine grief. They walk in darkness, he said, not because there is no light, but because they have closed their eyes to it. Now, it gets personal. The rosary doesn't just protect individuals, it sanctifies entire households, creates an atmosphere of peace that touches every family member, every conversation, every interaction within those walls. Pray it consistently. You're inviting Mary's maternal care into your home, placing your family under her protective mantle. This creates a spiritual climate where love flourishes easier, forgiveness comes quicker, conflicts resolve peacefully. Remove that protection through neglect. The opposite manifests. Arguments that used to be rare become daily occurrences. Misunderstandings that once resolved easily now escalate into lasting tensions. The harmony that characterized your family gives way to friction, discord, chaos. Michael and Teresa lived this nightmare. 12 years of marriage. Every evening after tucking in their kids, they'd pray the rosary together. Their sacred time, their spiritual anchor that kept their relationship rock solid through normal life stresses. Friends knew their home as a place of unusual peace and joy. Then Michael started working longer hours. Teresa became overwhelmed caring for her aging mother. Their evening rosary gradually disappeared. At first, they barely noticed, but within weeks, something had shifted. Their home's atmosphere felt different. The children became argumentative, defiant. Michael and Teresa found themselves snapping at each other over trivial matters. The easy affection that characterized their relationship felt strained, forced. "Man, it was like our home had lost its soul," Teresa reflected later. "Same people, same house, but everything felt different, heavier, more difficult." Padre Pio explained this simply. A home without the rosary is like a garden without a gardener. Weeds will grow where flowers once bloomed. Daily prayer doesn't just change the people who pray it. It changes the spiritual atmosphere of the space where it's prayed. This isn't superstition. Padre Pio witnessed the tangible effects throughout his ministry. Homes where the rosary was prayed regularly seemed to radiate peace. Children more obedient, spouses more patient, conflicts more easily resolved. But homes where the practice had been abandoned, they struggled with unexplained tensions and discord. Many couples endure unnecessary suffering, seeking marriage counseling for problems that have a fundamentally spiritual solution, trying to fix relationships through human means when what they really need is divine protection through faithful prayer. This sign opens the door to spiritual disasters. Padre Pio saw the spiritual realm clearly. He understood how the rosary serves as a fortress wall against temptation and evil influence. Pray it faithfully. You're not just asking for Mary's intercession. You're actively resisting the enemy of your soul. Each Hail Mary places another stone in a protective wall around your spirit. Meditation on the mysteries keeps your mind focused on holy things, making it nearly impossible for unwholesome thoughts to take root. Abandon this daily practice. That wall crumbles. Small compromises you once would have recognized and rejected now seem reasonable. Temptations your strengthened spirit used to resist easily now feel overwhelming, irresistible. Padre Pio often said, "The devil is like a chained dog. He cannot bite those who don't come near him. But if you remove the chain, he'd leave it unfinished." The implication was crystal clear. This vulnerability manifests differently for each person, depending on their particular weaknesses. For some, it's a return to old addictions they thought they'd conquered. For others, patterns of gossip, anger, or unforgiveness that seem to arise from nowhere. Some find themselves making choices they never would have considered when their prayer life was strong. The insidious nature of this vulnerability, it progresses gradually. You don't wake up one morning completely transformed into someone you don't recognize. Instead, your moral sensitivity slowly diminishes. Your conscience becomes less sharp. Your ability to distinguish right from wrong becomes clouded. A businessman discovered this the hard way, faithful to his daily rosary for years. When work pressures caused him to abandon his prayer routine, he gradually began cutting corners in his business dealings. Nothing dramatic at first, just small compromises that seemed justified by circumstances, but over time, small compromises led to larger ones, until he found himself engaged in practices that would have horrified his earlier self. "And I don't know how it happened," he confessed. "I used to be so careful about my integrity. Now I look back and wonder who that person was who made those choices." Padre Pio called this the slow blindness of the soul. When we remove ourselves from Mary's protection through neglect of the rosary, our spiritual vision gradually dims. We lose the ability to see clearly the difference between light and darkness, between what leads to life and what leads to destruction. The enemy is patient, cunning. He doesn't need a frontal assault if he can simply wait for us to lower our defenses. And there's no defense more powerful than the daily rosary under Mary's maternal protection. This final sign attacks the very core of what makes life worth living, your sense of purpose, meaning, joy in your relationship with God. When you pray the rosary regularly, it anchors your entire spiritual life in something transcendent, eternal. Daily meditation on Christ's mysteries keeps your heart aligned with what truly matters. The repetitive prayer creates a rhythm of grace that permeates your entire day. Lose this anchor, Something profound happens to your spiritual life. The joy that once characterized your relationship with God begins fading like colors from a photograph left in sunlight. Prayer becomes burdensome rather than refreshing. Mass feels routine rather than transformative. Your faith, once vibrant and alive, becomes stale, mechanical. This isn't a normal spiritual dry period that every mature Christian experiences. This is different. A kind of spiritual depression that has no identifiable cause and no clear remedy. You remember what it felt like to experience God's presence, His joy, His peace. But these now seem like distant memories from someone else's life. Padre Pio described this as the winter of the soul. Just as winter is characterized by the absence of life and growth, this spiritual condition is marked by the absence of everything that makes faith meaningful. You continue going through religious motions, but the heart behind those motions has grown cold, distant. Elena experienced this devastating transformation. A devout Catholic who'd served in parish ministries for decades. For years, her daily rosary had been the source of her spiritual strength and joy. But when health problems and family crises overwhelmed her schedule, the rosary became one more burden she felt she couldn't carry. "And I kept telling myself I'd get back to it when things calmed down," she shared. But months passed, things never calmed down. And slowly, I realized that everything that used to give me joy in my faith had disappeared. I felt like I was going through the motions of being Catholic, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. This loss is particularly tragic because it often leads to complete abandonment of faith. People in this state begin questioning everything they once believed. They look at their former spiritual enthusiasm as naive, misguided. Some even leave the church entirely, convinced their faith was nothing more than psychological comfort they've now outgrown. But Padre Pio knew the truth. This spiritual desolation isn't a sign of maturity or intellectual growth. It's a sign of a soul that has wandered away from its mother and lost its way home. The joy and meaning don't disappear because they were never real. They disappear because the connection that made them accessible has been severed. The most heartbreaking aspect, the remedy, is so simple, yet it seems impossible to the person experiencing it. Returning to the rosary feels insurmountable when you can barely remember why prayer ever mattered. It's like trying to remember the sound of music when you've gone deaf. Yet Padre Pio insisted it's never too late. Even in the depths of spiritual winter, the first faltering steps back to the rosary can begin restoring what was lost. Mary never stops being a mother, even when her children wander far from home. Recognize yourself in any of these signs. Please don't despair. The beauty of Padre Pio's teaching comes with an equally powerful message of hope. No matter how far you've drifted, no matter how long you've been away, no matter how cold your heart has become, it's never too late to come home to Mary. Padre Pio spent his entire ministry helping souls return to practices that would restore their spiritual vitality. He never gave up on anyone, no matter how far they'd fallen or how long they'd been away. But Mary doesn't count the days of absence, he'd tell his spiritual children. She counts only the joy of return. The first step is always the humblest: acknowledgement. Simply admitting to yourself and to God that you've neglected this vital practice is already movement toward grace. No elaborate confessions needed, no dramatic gestures, just simple, honest recognition. I've let this slide, and I can see the effects in my life. Second step, start small. Don't try immediately returning to a full 15-decade rosary if you've been away for months or years. That's like trying to run a marathon after being sedentary. You'll burn out before you build the habit. Instead, commit to just 1 decade a day, 5 minutes, 10 Hail Marys, 1 Our Father, 1 Glory Be. That's all. Choose a specific time and stick to it religiously. Padre Pio was adamant about consistency over quantity. Better 1 decade prayed faithfully every day than 15 decades prayed sporadically when you feel like it. The key is rebuilding the habit. creating that daily connection with Mary that will gradually restore all that was lost. Create a sacred space, even just a corner of your bedroom with a simple image of Our Lady and perhaps a candle. This physical space anchors your spiritual practice and signals to your soul that this time is sacred, protected. Don't be discouraged if your heart feels cold or your mind wanders during those first days or weeks. Padre Pio taught that fidelity is more important than feeling. Mary hears the cry of your heart even when your lips feel like they're just moving through motions. He assured his spiritual children, your willingness to return is already a prayer she treasures. As you rebuild this foundation, gradually expand, add a second decade, then a third. Eventually, work back to a full 5-decade rosary. But take your time. This isn't a race. It's a homecoming. Mary's promises to those faithful to the rosary are breathtaking. Special protection during life, assistance at the hour of death, preservation from mortal sin, countless graces for those who honor her through this prayer. Padre Pio was living testimony to these promises. His entire life demonstrated what happens when someone places themselves completely under Mary's protection through faithful rosary devotion. But perhaps the most beautiful promise addresses every sign we've discussed today. Mary promises peace to troubled hearts, clarity to confused minds, harmony to troubled families, strength against temptation, joy to souls that have forgotten how to rejoice. Every single consequence of abandoning the rosary can be reversed through the simple act of returning to it. The restoration doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. Just as negative signs appeared gradually, positive transformation returns gradually. First, you'll notice a subtle shift in your thought life, a little more peace, a little less anxiety. Then you'll begin sensing Mary's presence again, faintly at first, then more clearly. Your relationships will begin healing, your resistance to temptation will strengthen, and slowly, surely, the joy of your salvation will be restored. Padre Pio's final advice to anyone beginning this journey back was simple. Trust in Mary's love more than you trust in your own weakness. Her desire to help you is greater than your ability to fail her. We've journeyed through spiritual territory Padre Pio knew intimately today. The consequences of abandoning the rosary and the pathway back to restoration. We've seen the 5 signs, dark thoughts that cloud mental clarity, the withdrawal of Mary's presence that leaves us spiritually orphaned, disturbances in homes and relationships that steal peace, vulnerability to temptations we once resisted easily, and the loss of spiritual joy that makes faith feel empty and cold. But more importantly, we've learned Padre Pio's unwavering truth. None of these conditions are permanent. Every single consequence of abandoning the rosary can be reversed through the simple act of picking up those beads again and beginning anew. You don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need to feel ready or worthy or spiritually prepared. You just need to be willing to take that first small step back toward the mother who has never stopped watching for your return. Remember Maria from our opening story. After months of living with growing darkness in her home and heart, she finally understood what had happened. One evening, she found her rosary buried in a drawer, covered with dust, but still intact. With tears in her eyes, she held those familiar beads and whispered, "Mary, I'm sorry, help me come home." That night, she prayed just 1 decade. It felt awkward and forced after so long away, but she persevered. The next night, another decade. Within a week, the nightmares stopped. Within a month, peace had returned to her home. Within 3 months, she was back to her full daily rosary. The woman who had once felt lost in spiritual darkness was again radiant with faith's joy. Your story can have the same ending. Whether you've been away for days, months, or years, Mary is waiting. With the infinite patience of a mother who knows her child, will eventually find their way home. If this message has touched your heart, if you've recognized yourself in any of these signs, if you feel called to return to the practice that could transform your spiritual life, write in the comments, "I return to the rosary today." Your declaration could be the encouragement someone else needs to take their own first step back to Mary. Share this video with someone who needs to hear Padre Pio's wisdom about the Rosary. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future messages that could strengthen your faith and deepen your relationship with God. But most importantly, don't let this moment pass without action. Find your rosary. If you don't have one, get one today. Choose your time. Start small. Begin tonight. As Padre Pio reminded us from his own deep experience, the rosary is the most beautiful and most powerful prayer. We should always have it with us. When we say the rosary, we approach Jesus through Mary. We never go to Jesus except through Mary. May you discover for yourself the protection, peace, and joy that await those who place themselves under Mary's maternal care through faithful devotion to the Holy Rosary. The beads are waiting. Mary is waiting. Your restored spiritual life is waiting. Begin today. Have you ever wondered why some days feel different? Why certain moments seem to carry a weight that goes beyond the ordinary? What if I told you that tomorrow, July 24th, is one of those days when heaven itself bends closer to earth? What if the miracle you've been praying for, the healing your family desperately needs, the peace your heart has been crying out for, what if it all depends on 3 simple things you can do in the next 24 hours? Friends, some days are marked by God Himself. Some dates on the calendar aren't just numbers, they're spiritual doorways. And July 24th, the feast day of Saint Charbel, is one of the most powerful days in the entire year for receiving extraordinary graces. You might be thinking, who is Saint Charbel? And why should this matter to me? Let me tell you something that will change how you see tomorrow forever. Saint Charbel was a monk who lived his entire life in silence, hidden from the world, seeking nothing but closeness to God. For over 20 years, he prayed, fasted, and sacrificed in complete obscurity. The world didn't know his name. He spoke little. He asked for nothing. But here's where it gets incredible. After his death, something extraordinary began happening at his tomb. A mysterious oil started flowing, warm, sweet-scented, reddish in color. And this oil, folks, this oil has been the source of thousands upon thousands of documented miracles, cancer patients walking out of hospitals completely healed, the blind receiving their sight, paralyzed people throwing away their wheelchairs. But even more powerful than the physical healings are the spiritual ones. Saint Charbel specializes in freeing people from depression, anxiety, fear, and the invisible chains that bind entire families. And here's what most people don't know. Padre Pio, the great stigmatic and mystic, had a profound spiritual connection with Saint Charbel. He saw in him a kindred spirit, someone who fought the same hidden battles, who carried invisible crosses for the salvation of others. According to testimonies from those closest to Padre Pio, he once revealed that there are 3 specific things every faithful soul should do on Saint Charbel's feast day. 3 spiritual acts that can unlock graces so powerful, they can change everything. These aren't superstitions. These aren't just empty traditions passed down through generations. These are spiritual keys. And if you use them tomorrow, you might just witness the miracle you've been waiting for your entire life. But before we dive into these 3 revelations, I need you to do something right away. If you believe in the power of saintly intercession, if you believe that God still works miracles through His holy ones, type in the comments, Saint Charbel, intercede for me. Because your faith, expressed in those simple words, is already opening doors in the spiritual realm. Tomorrow isn't just another day. Tomorrow is your day, the day when everything can shift, the day when heaven looks down and says, this soul is ready, this heart is open. This prayer will be answered. By the end of this message, you'll know exactly what to do to make tomorrow the most spiritually powerful day of your year. You'll have the 3 keys that Padre Pio himself treasured. The three practices that have brought miracles into countless homes. So stay with me. Don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to share with you next could be the answer to every prayer you've ever whispered in the darkness. Let me paint you a picture of who Saint Charbel really was, because understanding his life will help you understand why his intercession is so incredibly powerful. Picture a young man who chose to leave everything behind. Family, comfort, worldly success, all of it, to pursue something the world couldn't understand. Saint Charbel became a hermit monk, spending his days in a tiny cell, his nights in prayer, his meals consisting of bread, olives, and water. For 23 years, he lived this way, 23 years of complete surrender. While the world forgot about him, heaven was taking notice. Every prayer he whispered, every sacrifice he offered, every moment of his hidden life was building up spiritual treasure that would benefit countless souls for generations to come. When Saint Charbel died in 1898, those who knew him expected his story to end there. A holy man, yes, a devoted monk, certainly. But what happened next defied all human explanation. His tomb began to weep, not tears, but oil. A mysterious, fragrant oil that continues to flow to this very day. Scientists have studied it, skeptics have examined it, and they all come to the same conclusion. There's no natural explanation for this phenomenon. That sacred oil has become a conduit for miracles that would make your head spin. I'm talking about healings that medical doctors can't explain, families reunited after years of bitter division, addictions broken overnight, children born to couples told they'd never have kids. Here's where Padre Pio comes into the picture. Padre Pio lived his own hidden life of sacrifice. He bore the wounds of Christ on his hands and feet for 50 years. He could read souls. He could be in two places at once. He had visions that would leave him unconscious for hours. Padre Pio recognized in Saint Charbel a spiritual brother, someone who understood that the greatest power comes not from what the world sees, but from what happens in the secret place of prayer and sacrifice. There are documented accounts of Padre Pio speaking about Saint Charbel with deep reverence. He would say, "That monk knows the secrets of heaven. He lived them, and he shares them with those who seek them." In fact, there's a beautiful story about a woman who came to Padre Pio, desperate for healing for her dying child. Padre Pio looked at her and said, "Go to Saint Charbel. Ask him to carry your prayer to the throne of God. Some saints specialize in certain graces, and healing is Saint Charbel's specialty." The child lived. Not only lived, but thrived. And that mother spent the rest of her life telling anyone who would listen about the power of Saint Charbel's intercession. As I'm sharing this with you, I'm reminded of something beautiful. If you're someone who loves to deepen your prayer life, who wants to really connect with these powerful saints, I have something special that might bless your heart. It's a resource I put together called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure is designed to help you pray the Rosary with deeper devotion and understanding. It contains the most impactful teachings and quotes from Padre Pio about prayer, along with a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith. You'll also find special prayers for protection, healing, and spiritual liberation, the very prayers that Padre Pio himself used and recommended. The Rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon, and today it can be yours too. If you feel called to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people, just click the link pinned in the comments. Don't let this opportunity pass to grow closer to God through the guidance of one of the Church's most beloved saints. Let's get back to those 3 sacred practices that Padre Pio revealed for Saint Charbel's feast day. Because what I'm about to share with you has the power to transform not just tomorrow, but your entire spiritual journey. These aren't random suggestions. These are time-tested, heaven-approved practices that create a perfect storm of grace in your life. And when you combine them with the powerful intercession of Saint Charbel, miracles aren't just possible, they become probable. We come to the heart of everything, the three sacred practices that Padre Pio treasured for Saint Charbel's feast day. I need you to listen carefully, because each one builds upon the next, creating a spiritual ladder that reaches straight into heaven. The first practice, and this might surprise some of you, is to make a sincere, complete confession. Before you think, "Oh, I just went to confession last month," or "I don't have any serious sins," let me tell you what Padre Pio used to say about this. He would tell people, before asking for a grace, clean your soul. Grace won't stay in a dirty heart. Padre Pio spent up to 18 hours a day hearing confessions. 18 hours. People would travel from all over the world just to confess to him. Why? Because he understood something that most of us miss. Confession isn't just about getting rid of sin, it's about creating space for miracles. Think about it this way. Imagine your soul as a beautiful crystal vase. Over time, that vase collects dust, fingerprints, maybe even some cracks. It's still a vase, it still functions, but its beauty is hidden. Confession is like taking that vase and cleaning it until it sparkles. Suddenly, the light can shine through it in ways that take your breath away. Saint Charbel, who lived his entire life in a state of perfect purity, has a special love for souls who seek that same purity. When you approach the confessional with true contrition on his feast day, something extraordinary happens. Saint Charbel himself accompanies you into that sacred space. I know some of you might be thinking, but I haven't been to confession in years. I wouldn't even know where to start. Or maybe you go regularly, but feel like you're just going through the motions. Let me help you understand how to make this confession truly transformative. First, spend time before you go examining your heart, not just looking for the big, obvious sins, but asking God to show you the patterns, the attitudes, the small compromises that have been blocking His grace in your life. Maybe it's resentment towards someone who hurt you. Maybe it's pride that keeps you from admitting when you're wrong. Maybe it's fear that stops you from trusting God completely. Second, be specific. Don't just say, "I was uncharitable." Say, "I spoke harshly to my spouse 3 times this week when they were trying to help me." Don't just say, "I had impure thoughts." Be honest about what those thoughts were and when they occurred. Specificity in confession brings specificity in healing. Third, and this is crucial, express true sorrow. Not just regret for getting caught or feeling bad about consequences, but genuine sorrow for having offended God who loves you so much. This is what theologians call perfect contrition, and it opens floodgates of grace. I remember reading about a woman who had been struggling with depression for over a decade. Nothing seemed to help. Not therapy, not medication, not prayer, but on Saint Charbel's feast day, she decided to make the kind of confession Padre Pio recommended. She spent 2 hours examining her conscience, went to a priest she'd never met before, and laid bare her entire soul. She said that when she walked out of that confessional, it felt like she was walking on air. The depression that had been her constant companion for 10 years was simply gone, not managed, not reduced. Gone, and it never came back. She attributed it completely to the intercession of Saint Charbel and the grace of that perfect confession. When you clean your soul on Saint Charbel's feast day, you're not just preparing to receive a grace, you're preparing to receive a specific kind of grace, the kind that Saint Charbel specializes in: deep healing, complete restoration, miracles that go to the very core of who you are. And here's something beautiful that many people don't realize. When you make this kind of confession, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping your entire family line. The graces that flow from a perfect confession ripple out through generations, healing wounds and breaking cycles that may have persisted for decades. So tomorrow, before you do anything else, find a confessor. If you can't find one, make a perfect act of contrition with the firm intention to go to confession as soon as possible. But don't let this opportunity pass. This first key, the key of purification, is absolutely essential for what comes next. Because once your soul is clean, once that spiritual channel is clear, you're ready for the second practice, and this one will amaze you. The second practice that Padre Pio revealed for Saint Chabrel's feast day combines two of the most powerful spiritual weapons in our Catholic arsenal, the Holy Rosary and the sacred oil of Saint Charbel himself. Let me be very clear about something from the start. The oil of Saint Charbel is not a magic potion. It's not a good luck charm. It's not something you use superstitiously hoping for instant results. The oil is a sacramental, a physical sign that helps focus your faith and connects you to the intercession of this mighty saint. If you're blessed to have Saint Charbel's oil, here's what Padre Pio recommended you do. Before you begin your rosary, take a small amount of the oil and make the sign of the cross on your forehead. As you do this, pray silently, Saint Charbel, unite my prayers with yours. Present them to Jesus through the heart of Mary. Then, if you feel called to do so, you can anoint your chest over your heart, asking Saint Charbel to purify your intentions and inflame your love for God. Some people also anoint the doorposts of their homes, asking for the saint's protection over their families and all who enter. But here's what I want you to understand, and this is crucial. If you don't have Saint Charbel's oil, don't let that stop you. The power isn't in the oil itself. The power is in your faith and in the saint's intercession. You can pray the rosary with complete confidence, asking Saint Charbel to carry your prayers to heaven, oil or no oil. Why did Padre Pio specifically recommend the rosary for this day? Because he understood something profound about this prayer. He used to say, the rosary is the weapon. Not just any weapon, but the weapon against darkness, against despair, against every force that tries to separate us from God's love. When you combine the rosary, which is Mary's own prayer, with the intercession of Saint Charbel, who had such a deep devotion to the Mother of God, you create what I can only describe as a spiritual hurricane of grace. The power generated by this combination has been responsible for some of the most extraordinary miracles of our time. I want you to understand how to pray this rosary in a way that maximizes its effectiveness. Don't just recite the words. Don't just let your fingers move through the beads while your mind wanders to your grocery list or your work problems. As you begin each decade, pause for a moment and think about the mystery you're contemplating. But here's the key. As you meditate on that mystery, ask Saint Charbel to help you see it through his eyes. Ask him to show you what that moment meant for your salvation, for your healing, for your family's protection. For instance, when you pray the first joyful mystery, the Annunciation, ask Saint Charbel to help you understand Mary's complete surrender to God's will. Ask him to give you that same spirit of surrender in whatever situation you're facing. When you pray the first sorrowful mystery, the agony in the garden, ask Saint Charbel, who spent countless nights in agonizing prayer, to help you find peace in your own moments of suffering and uncertainty. And when you pray the glorious mysteries, ask this saint who enjoys the beatific vision to give you a glimpse of the glory that awaits all who persevere in faith. Here's where it gets really powerful. As you pray each Hail Mary, don't just say the words. Offer each one for a specific intention. Maybe the first Hail Mary of each decade is for your family's health, the second for financial provision, the third for the conversion of someone you love, the fourth for peace in your marriage, and so on. But remember, you're not just sending these prayers up into the void. You're placing them in the hands of Saint Charbel, who carries them directly to Jesus through Mary's Immaculate Heart. I know of a family who was on the verge of bankruptcy. The husband had lost his job. They were about to lose their home. Their marriage was falling apart under the stress. On Saint Charbel's feast day, they decided to try Padre Pio's recommendation. They anointed their home with Saint Charbel's oil and prayed the rosary together, offering each Hail Mary for their specific needs. Within 1 month, everything changed. The husband received a job offer that was better than anything he'd ever had before. A relative they hadn't heard from in years offered to help with their mortgage. But most importantly, the peace that entered their home was so palpable that their neighbors started asking what had happened to them. That's the power of this practice, folks. When you combine faith-filled prayer with the intercession of Saint Charbel, you're not just hoping for change, you're creating the conditions for miracles. And here's something beautiful that many people experience. As you're praying this rosary, you might start to feel a presence. It's gentle, it's peaceful, but it's unmistakable. That's Saint Charbel himself, drawing near to carry your prayers to heaven. Don't be afraid of it. Welcome it. That presence is a sign that your prayers are being heard and answered. But we're not done yet, because the third practice, the one Padre Pio called the most powerful of all, is still to come. And when you understand what it is, you'll see how these 3 practices work together to create a perfect storm of grace. We come to the third and most powerful practice that Padre Pio revealed for Saint Charbel's feast day. This one has the power to move mountains. It's the practice of hidden sacrifice offered specifically for the conversion of a soul. Let me tell you why this is so incredibly powerful. When Padre Pio spoke about sacrifice, he wasn't talking about some grand, dramatic gesture that everyone would notice and applaud. He was talking about something much more profound, the kind of offering that only you and God know about. Saint Charbel lived his entire life as a hidden sacrifice. For 23 years, nobody knew his name, nobody celebrated his holiness, nobody wrote articles about his spiritual insights. He lived in complete obscurity, offering every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of pain and joy as a gift to God for the salvation of souls. That's exactly what made him so powerful. Because when you offer something in secret, when you sacrifice something that only heaven sees, you tap into the same spiritual energy that Jesus used when he died on the cross. Remember, Jesus could have come down from that cross. He could have called legions of angels to rescue him, but he chose to suffer in love, for love, because of love. Here's what Padre Pio wants you to do on Saint Charbel's feast day. Choose someone specific, who is far from God. Maybe it's your spouse who hasn't been to church in years. Maybe it's your adult child who's embraced a lifestyle that breaks your heart. Maybe it's a friend who's fallen into addiction, depression, or despair. Maybe it's a family member who's filled with anger and bitterness. Choose that person, hold their face in your mind, and then offer a hidden sacrifice specifically for their conversion. What kind of sacrifice am I talking about? Let me give you some examples that Padre Pio himself recommended. You could fast, not just skip a meal, but choose to go without food for a specific period, maybe from sunrise until sunset, offering every pang of hunger as a prayer for that person's soul. As your stomach growls, as your energy dips, instead of thinking about your discomfort, whisper, "Jesus, I offer this for name." Soften their heart, draw them back to you. You could attend an extra Mass. Wake up early and go to daily Mass, not because you have to, not because it's convenient, but purely as an offering. As you kneel there, as you participate in the holy sacrifice, unite your sacrifice of time and comfort with Jesus, sacrifice on Calvary for that specific soul. You could offer a holy hour. Find an adoration chapel, or simply kneel before a crucifix in your home and spend one uninterrupted hour in prayer for that person. No distractions, no agenda, except to love God and beg for mercy on someone else's behalf. But here's the key. And this is absolutely crucial. This sacrifice must be hidden. Don't tell the person you're doing it. Don't post about it on social media. Don't even tell your closest friends unless they're joining you in the effort. This is between you and God, carried to heaven by St. Charbel's intercession. Why does it have to be hidden? Because hidden sacrifices have a special power. When you sacrifice something publicly, you receive your reward in the form of human recognition, human praise. But when you sacrifice something secretly, your reward comes directly from heaven. And heaven's rewards are infinitely more powerful than anything earth can offer. Padre Pio used to tell people, pray, hope, and don't worry. Offer for sinners, because your silent offering can pull someone out of hell. Think about that for a moment. Your hidden sacrifice on St. Charbel's feast day could literally be the thing that saves someone's eternal soul. I want to share with you a story that illustrates just how powerful this practice can be. There was a mother whose son had completely rejected his faith. He'd gotten involved with drugs, left his wife and children, and was living a life that was destroying him and everyone who loved him. This mother had tried everything, pleading, arguing, interventions, therapy. Nothing worked. Then she learned about this practice from someone who knew Padre Pio personally. On St. Charbel's feast day, she made a decision. She would fast from sunrise to sunset every week for an entire year, offering each fast specifically for her son's conversion. But she told no one, not her husband, not her other children, not even her closest friend. For 6 months, nothing seemed to change. Her son's life continued spiraling downward. But this mother held on to Padre Pio's words, pray, hope, and don't worry. She continued her hidden fasts, offering each one through St. Charbel's intercession. Then, on a Tuesday morning in the 7th month, her phone rang. It was her son. He was sobbing. He said, "Mom, I don't know what's happening to me, but I can't live this way anymore. I need help. I want to come home. I want to get my life right with God." That son is not only back in the church, but he's become a youth minister, helping other young people who are struggling with addiction and despair. His mother never told him about her year of hidden sacrifices. That remains her secret with God and St. Charbel. But here's what she did tell me. She said that during those months of sacrifice, she began to feel St. Charbel's presence in her life in ways she'd never experienced before. She would sense his encouragement during the difficult hours of fasting. She would feel his strength when doubt tried to creep in. And she knew, somehow she just knew, that her sacrifices were being presented before the throne of God by this powerful saint. When you offer a hidden sacrifice for someone's conversion, you're not just asking God to change them. You're proving to God how much you love them. You're showing heaven that you're willing to pay a price for their salvation. And that kind of love, that sacrificial love, is the very love that God used to redeem the world. This is why this third practice is the most powerful of all, because it transforms you into an instrument of salvation for someone else. It makes you a co-redeemer with Jesus Christ, offering your small sufferings united with his infinite suffering for the salvation of souls. So on St. Charbel's feast day, after you've made your perfect confession, after you've prayed your rosary with the sacred oil, choose your sacrifice, choose your person, and make an offering that only heaven will see. Because when these three practices come together, purification, prayer, and sacrifice, they create what I can only describe as a spiritual perfect storm. And in that storm, miracles don't just happen. They become inevitable. Do you see it? Do you understand why Padre Pio called these three practices the keys to extraordinary grace? Because when you put them together, confession, rosary with oil, and hidden sacrifice, they don't just add up, they multiply. They create a spiritual synergy that opens floodgates in heaven. Think of it as building a spiritual ladder to heaven. The first rung is purification through confession. You can't climb higher if your soul is weighed down by sin and guilt. That perfect confession cleans your spiritual channel, making you a pure vessel ready to receive whatever God wants to pour into your life. The second rung is powerful prayer through the rosary with Saint Charbel's intercession. With your soul clean, your prayers can rise unobstructed to the throne of God. And when those prayers are carried by Saint Charbel himself, they have a power and urgency that captures heaven's immediate attention. The third rung is sacrificial love through your hidden offering. This is where you prove that your faith isn't just words, that your love isn't just feelings. This is where you put skin in the game, where you show God that you're willing to pay a price for what you're asking. And when all three rungs are in place, when you've built this complete spiritual ladder, something extraordinary happens. Heaven bends down to meet you. The distance between your need and God's provision suddenly becomes very, very small. But here's what I want you to understand about tomorrow, July 24th. This isn't just another day when these practices might work a little better. This is Saint Charbel's day. This is when he has special permission, if you will, to pour out graces that are normally reserved for the most desperate situations. Every saint has their specialties, their particular areas of expertise. St. Anthony finds lost things. St. Joseph protects families. St. Jude handles impossible cases. But Saint Charbel specializes in the kind of deep, transformative healing that changes everything. The kind of miracles that don't just fix problems, they transform entire lives. And on his feast day, he's like a spiritual physician making house calls. He's looking for souls who are ready to receive his special touch, his particular kind of healing grace. So how will you know if Saint Charbel is responding to your prayers? How can you recognize his intercession in your life? First, pay attention to an unusual sense of peace. Not just the absence of worry, but a positive, tangible peace that seems to settle over your situation like a warm blanket. People often describe it as feeling like someone strong and gentle is standing guard over their life. Second, watch for meaningful coincidences. Saint Charbel often works through what seem like chance encounters, unexpected phone calls, doors opening that you didn't even know existed. But when you look back, you'll see that these coincidences formed a perfect pattern leading to exactly what you needed. Third, notice changes in people around you. Remember, Saint Charbel's specialty is changing hearts. So if you've been praying for someone's conversion, don't be surprised if they suddenly become more open to spiritual conversations, or if they start asking questions about faith that they've never asked before. Fourth, be alert to dreams or strong spiritual impressions. Saint Charbel often communicates through the language of the heart, sudden inspirations, clear impressions during prayer, or dreams that carry a message of hope or direction. But here's the key. Don't just do these three practices tomorrow and then forget about them. Let Saint Charbel's feast day be the beginning of a deeper relationship with this powerful saint. Make him your go-to intercessor for the big things, the impossible things, the situations that require more than human solutions. Keep a small bottle of his oil if you can obtain it. Pray to him regularly, not just on his feast day. Ask for his intercession when you're facing health challenges, family problems, financial difficulties, or spiritual dryness. He's not just available once a year, he's available every moment of every day. And remember, the graces you receive through Saint Charbel's intercession aren't just for you. They're meant to overflow into your family, your community, your world. When God blesses you through the intercession of this saint, he's trusting you to become a blessing to others. So as you prepare for tomorrow, as you plan your confession, prepare your rosary, and choose your sacrifice, do it with expectation. Do it with faith. Do it with the confidence that comes from knowing you're following a path that Padre Pio himself walked and recommended. Because tomorrow isn't just July 24th. Tomorrow is your appointment with the miraculous. Tomorrow is when heaven looks down and says, "This soul is ready, this heart is open." This prayer will be answered, and Saint Charbel, that hidden monk who spent his life in obscurity so that he could spend eternity obtaining graces for people like you and me, is waiting to carry your needs before the throne of the Most High. The ladder is built, the way is prepared, all that remains is for you to climb. As we come to the end of our time together, I want you to take a moment and really let this sink in. You possess something precious, 3 sacred keys that Padre Pio himself treasured, 3 practices that have unlocked miracles for countless souls over the decades. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you won't be facing just another ordinary day. You'll be standing at the threshold of Saint Charbel's feast day, armed with everything you need to make it the most spiritually powerful day of your year. You have the first key, perfect confession, that will cleanse your soul and prepare it to receive extraordinary graces. You have the second key, the rosary prayed with Saint Charbel's intercession, that will carry your deepest needs directly to the heart of Jesus through Mary. And you have the third key, hidden sacrifice, that will prove to heaven the sincerity of your love and the depth of your faith. These aren't just suggestions. These aren't just nice ideas to try if you have time. These are heaven-tested, saint-approved practices that have the power to change everything. But remember what Padre Pio always said: pray, hope, and don't worry. Don't approach tomorrow with anxiety about whether you're doing everything perfectly. Don't stress about whether your confession is complete enough, whether your rosary is devout enough, whether your sacrifice is significant enough. Approach tomorrow with the heart of a child who knows their Heavenly Father loves them. Approach it with the confidence of someone who knows that Saint Charbel is already interceding for you, already presenting your needs before God's throne. And please, don't keep this message to yourself. Think about the people in your life who are struggling right away. Think about your friends who are facing health challenges, your family members who are dealing with financial stress, your loved ones who seem to have lost hope. Share this video with them. Send it to 3 people who need to hear about the power of Saint Charbel's intercession, because your act of sharing might be the very thing that brings a miracle into someone else's life. I want to hear from you. In the comments below, I want you to share your intentions for tomorrow. What are you praying for? Who are you offering your sacrifice for? What miracle are you asking Saint Charbel to intercede for? Don't be shy about this. When you write your intention in the comments, you're not just sharing with this community, you're making a public declaration of faith that strengthens your own prayer and encourages others who might be facing similar challenges. Maybe you're praying for healing from an illness that doctors say is incurable. Write it down. Maybe you're asking for the conversion of a family member who's been away from God for years. Share it. Maybe you need a financial miracle, or healing in your marriage, or protection for your children. Whatever it is, put it in the comments and let this entire community of faith join their prayers with yours. And if you've already experienced Saint Charbel's intercession in your life, if you've received graces through his prayers, please share your testimony. Your story of healing, of conversion, of miraculous provision could be exactly what someone else needs to hear to strengthen their faith. Before you go, if this message has touched your heart, if you feel called to learn more about the saints and deepen your spiritual life, please subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. We're building a community of faith here, a family of believers who support each other in prayer and encourage each other in hope. And remember, tomorrow is Saint Charbel's day, but every day is a day when God wants to pour out his grace into your life. Every day is an opportunity to grow closer to him, to become more like the saints who've gone before us. As I leave you with the words that Padre Pio spoke to so many souls who came to him seeking hope: pray, hope, and don't worry. The heart of Jesus is full of love and mercy for you. Saint Charbel is listening. Padre Pio is praying. And your heavenly Father, who loves you more than you could ever imagine, is ready to show you just how powerful His grace can be. Don't miss this day. Don't waste this opportunity. Do what they told you to do and watch what heaven will do next. God bless you, friends. Until we meet again, may the intercession of Saint Charbel bring you the miracle you've been waiting for.